Hello, Lions. It's me again. Okay, so there's something I forgot to show you in the Magavia group in the last video, so I'm going to just show you at the top of this one. Britannica Image Quest. This is going to be a great resource for you to get images for the project if you don't find what you need in the other databases that I showed you, resources in the last video, then you can totally come and look for images here. So I'm just going to put in my country, and you notice there's like 2,000 images in here. So hopefully you can find images for some of the things that you need. I want to just talk to you briefly about why the images in these resources in your Mac and Via group are better than just going out to Google. So these images, so here's how it works, right? Let's say that you are a photographer, and that is your job to go around the world taking pictures for a news outlet or whatever the case may be, art, whatever. And so what happens is you take all these photos and then you sell them um, to different news outlets and places, and that money that you make is how you buy your house and a car and send your kids to camp in the summer. Okay, so that's how you make your living. So those creators, those photographers, they clearly want to be paid for their work. Not only do they want to be paid, but if you use their image somewhere, they want credit for it because they traveled all over the world to be able to take that image and create it. So these resources that we use in these databases, we pay thousands and thousands of dollars a year to be able to use these so that you can have access to information so that those people who created all of the stuff in these databases, including all these pictures and images, get paid for the use of their images. So let's say that you want to use this image right here. You can totally use this image, and you'll notice here it says credit, and so this person has been paid for it, but it is for educational use only, and as long as you cite it. So I'm going to click on the cite button, and I'm going to grab the APA citation for this image. And so by putting this in my references page, my APA references page, and showing my teacher, hey, I got this image from this resource that Ms. Lambert said is a-okay for me to use, then you are helping the person who created this image. You are also being a good digital citizen. You are also doing things legally and ethically because you are making websites and other people are going to see these websites. And let's say the creator of this photo comes across their photo and there's no citation. They're going to think that perhaps you didn't have permission to use this. And they could come after you and ask you to pay because you have violated the copyright of the image. So that is the reason why I'm so like, please use the images in the database and our resources that I put in Mac and Via, because those are the resources that you have the express permission of the creators to use. They are getting paid for allowing us to use them, and you are doing everything ethically and legally correct. Now, let's say you and your friends are, messing around, and you're like, I wonder what, the Uganda flag is. You can go online and get any Uganda flag and just text it to your friend. I do not care about that. That is not the same as you building a website and doing something for academic purposes and then not using the correct resources for those academic purposes. So totally, totally different things. All right, so I did want to show you that really quickly because I forgot that. Okay, so now I want to show you on Miss Beckerman's example mock site for the country. So she has three websites, three articles here that she has linked. And so I'm going to click on all three of them and I'm going to open them up. So that's the first one. This is the second one. And this is the third one. Now, I'm not telling you you can't use stuff from Google, because you totally can go to Google and look for things for your country. However, I will explain that most of the resources in our resources in the Mac and Via group, those resources are vetted and they have quality, reliable resources and information in them that you will not have to do what I'm about to do. However, if you go out on the web and you're just Googling and you're finding news articles or whatever, you're going to want to take this step. So in the Mac and Via group that I created for you, there's this media bias fact check website. And I don't know if you've ever seen this, maybe some of you have. This is one of the most comprehensive resources that I know of to examine different media sources and look at their bias. Okay. So I'm going to take this first one right here. So this one is from Huffington Post. Pope Francis says people who manufacture or invest in weapons can't call themselves Christians. So first of all, look at your title of whatever the article is that you're looking at, and if it sounds too like what the Pope said, what? Then maybe you want to look at that article a little bit more closely, and you want to look for loaded words, propaganda words, words that are meant to. Everybody has bias, right? Every single person on the face of the planet has bias, and some of the bias we are not even aware of because it's called implicit bias, and it's just part of how we have grown up. It's part of where we live. It's part of our culture, our religion, whatever the case may be. Bias is built into the framework of how our brain makes decisions. So when we're reading news articles, our bias, or the things that tell us, kind of tell us how we think about stuff, those are going to attach to certain words and certain information within the article. And so if you're reading an article and you're like, and you're just like, yeah, and you're getting all excited about it, perhaps you need to check the article and the news source for bias, and then also check your own bias as you are reading it. So I'm going to just come over here to my media bias fact check. And this was Huffington Post. So I'm just going to come up here to the search, and I'm going to put in Huffington Post and just be like, let's just check this news source, this general news source. Okay, so here it is, Huffington Post. So I'm going to click on that. And you'll notice that immediately it's going to give me the left-right political spectrum. So Huffington Post is pretty far left. They're not extreme, but they're pretty far left. And you'll notice here on factual reporting, they have mixed factual reporting. So that is really not ideal. You want very high, or mostly factual for any source that you're going to use academically, okay? Anything mixed, low, or very low, probably not a great source. So I can see here these media sources are moderately to strongly biased towards liberal causes through story selection or political affiliation. They may utilize strong loaded words, wording that attempts to influence an audience by using an appeal to emotion or stereotypes. And they sometimes publish misleading reports and omit reporting of information that may damage liberal causes. So if you believe in this side, then you're going to feel very excited about this article, and that's something that we want to kind of look out for, especially for the purposes of academic use. And so overall, we rate Huffington Post left bias based on story selection and editorial positions that favor the left. We also rate them mixed for factual reporting due to failed fact checks and the promotion of pseudoscience. So that gives us a little bit of information about that one. Okay, so if I were Miss Beckerman, I would not choose this particular one because it's just too it's too far, and the mixed reporting, that's just really not what you want for academic purposes. So I'm gonna click on this one now. So this one is Breitbart. So again, I'm gonna come back over here to my media bias fact check, and I'm going to put in the Breitbart news source. And I'm going to click on that. And this one says, again, so this one is an extreme. This one's in the extreme right, and again with the mixed. So this says a questionable source exhibits one or more of the following: extreme bias, consistent promotion of propaganda, conspiracies, poor or no sourcing of credible information, a complete lack of transparency, and or is fake news. Fake news is the deliberate attempt to publish hoaxes and or disinformation for the purpose of profit or influence. So fake news gets thrown around a lot, and fake news is a term that I personally don't use anymore. I use more specific terms, whether it's misinformation, disinformation, gaslighting, propaganda, etc. but fake news is a term that we hear a lot. And so I agree with this definition in that it is a deliberate attempt to publish hoaxes or disinformation, information that's meant to like get people riled up, and it's incorrect. It's not factually based, or it's incredibly misleading. Um, and the reason they do this is because they're either trying to profit, they're trying to make money on this, or they're really trying to influence people and stir up people of the same political leaning or mindset. So for this particular source, this is especially troubling. And so I would definitely recommend that you not use this type of source for any academic purposes. It is also listed in the questionable category, may be very untrustworthy and should be fact checked on a per article basis. So if you choose to use an article from this, you should do your own fact checking on the article, which is going to be really, really time consuming. So I wouldn't recommend that. Um, so uh, it also says, please note sources on this list are not considered fake news unless specifically written in the reasoning section of that source. So this one was specifically listed as fake news, and so I would very much steer away from this. Their extreme right-wing bias, publication of conspiracy theories and propaganda, as well as numerous false claims. So these are things that have been fact-checked and been found to be false. Okay, so this one also not a good source. Okay, so let's do the last one, which is here. So this is routers. I'm not sure how you say it, but I'm going to click over here and I'm going to type it into my little search box. And I'm going to click on this. So this particular news source, so this one falls very in the middle, least bias. Factual reporting is very high. Okay, so this particular news source, these sources have minimal bias. So like I said, every human being has bias. It's impossible to find a completely unbiased news source. That does not exist because humans cannot write and do things in a completely unbiased way. But it has very minimal bias. It has very few loaded words. And that means wording that attempts to influence an audience by emotional appeal or stereotypes. The reporting is factual and usually sourced. These are the most credible media sources. And so overall, least bias based on objective reporting, very high for factual reporting due to proper sourcing of information, minimal bias. So that means also that their stories, when they are writing a story, they are going to probably link to information throughout the article that is able to be fact checked and looked at. And then they're also going to they themselves, as the news source, are checking to make sure that they are factual in their news claims. Okay, so that is so this is in the McAfee group. So if you go out to the web and you're like, I'm gonna find my own resources, I highly suggest that you exhaust all of these to get as much information as you can from these. And then if you need to go out, please know that this media bias fact check is really, really important. And then also, if you're going to use any sites about culturals or customs or things like that, you're going to want to make sure that, again, the people who are reporting or writing that site or that blog, that they are that they have some sort of expertise in that field. Because again, if you're looking at somebody's own personal information about something, there's probably going to be a lot of bias in there, and we don't know how fact checked those are. So there's your sources video with a little bit of images stuff, which kind of fits in really, thrown in at the beginning. As always, Lions, if you need any help through the course of this project, you can always email me. I can Zoom with you. If you're in class physically here in the library, you can come over and talk to me. I'm here to help you and support you through this entire project journey. So good luck, Lions.